Thank you for taking the time to come to our webinar today. This webinar is for the first-time buyer, someone that's just stepped into the market, or if you've stepped out and you're coming back in the market, it's also for you because we're going to talk about the supply and demand on the current market conditions right now. Before I jump in and start talking about and get into the webinar, I want to talk about a little bit more about me. My name is Karan Singh, and I am a loan officer. I've been doing loans for the last 8 years. Our office is located here in the East Bay area, Northern California area, but we do the whole state of California. And I love sharing information with, clients that work with us, but also new people that have just tapped in the market. That's my passion. That's why I have this YouTube channel to primarily share information. So in today's webinar, we're going to cover 5 main things. Number one, we're going to talk about where to begin the home buying process. I'm going to tell you how it is. I know when you jump in, there's a lot of information coming at you, so I'm going to break it to you directly. We're going to talk about where to start the process. Number two, we're going to talk about how much home can you afford. We're going to run an estimate here on the screen. This is pretty much my way of giving you guys the tools and explaining how lenders and underwriters look at financials, debt, income, and then tell you if you qualify or not. So you'll have this tool in your back pocket. So when you're talking to your loan officer, trying to get qualified, or talking to an agent, you will know a lot more once I run this scenario on the board. Number 3, we're going to talk about the overall process, what parties are involved in the whole buying transaction. We're going to touch a little bit about upon closing costs, and then we're going to talk about what is the biggest difference between renting and buying and how you build equity when you buy real estate for yourself. Number 4, we're going to talk about first-time buyer loan programs. What are the different loan programs that are available in the market right now that you can take advantage of that are for first-time buyers? There are some great down payment assistance programs, so you definitely want to stay till that portion. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the 4-step effective house hunting process that is going to save you lots of time, money, and reduce a lot of stress that we see in the market for buyers that jump in and are not really familiar with the process. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right in and get this webinar started. So where should you begin if you are a first-time buyer? And you probably already know this is going to sound cliche, but you should definitely begin with speaking with a loan officer. Now, yes, when we're jumping in the market, we have a lot going on. We're talking to our friends, we're talking to people that have bought homes, and sometimes we're just jumping right in. We don't even know how much we qualify for, and we go online and look for multiple calculators and this and that. You can do all that, which is great, which we're going to run a scenario on screen today as well. But when you speak with a loan officer, they actually run your numbers. When I say run your numbers, they look at your income, they look at your debt, and they pull your credit. Now, a lot of you are thinking, well, I don't want to get my credit pulled. If you are serious about buying a home, you definitely need to go through this process. There's no way around it. You can not have a pre-approval letter. Then if you talk to a real estate agent, they're not going to be serious about showing you homes. And the main thing is when you run your numbers, you get to see what the payment looks like. And all lenders, depending on what program you get, they run your numbers through an automated system. It's called AUS, Automated Underwriting System. There's 2 of them. One is called Loan Prospector. The other one's called DU Desktop Underwriter. Not making it too complicated, but these systems must spit out a approved eligible to the underwriter or the lender for them to say, yes, now we can do your loan. Now, what happens if you don't run your numbers now and say you like a property and you're already working with a real estate agent without getting a pre-approval letter? And I don't know how that would happen, but if you did that and now you found your dream home and then you run your numbers and maybe you had something on your credit that you had no idea about, and then now when the numbers were run and they ran an AUS, which is the main thing why I say to run your numbers before, and now it says approved ineligible. Well, the home may just go off the market or someone else may buy that property. About how much home can you qualify for? Essentially, what I'm going to go over here is with you is what lenders really look for, what are the different acronyms, and how you can pretty much run these numbers from the comfort of your home or your phone to just kind of figure out what you qualify for. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this because at the end of the video, we can always run your numbers personally. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you are buying a home, say here in Northern California. I'm just going to take an average number here. Say the purchase price. Before I do that, let's first talk about the different acronyms, okay? Let me go ahead and erase that real quick. All right. So the lenders look at a couple of different acronyms. The first one they look at is something called DTI, okay? And that stands for debt to, excuse my handwriting here, debt to income. And what that means is that what your total debt is, and then they compare that to your total income. And that this is a ratio here. And the simple formula for this is you take your total debt, okay, and then you divide it by your total income. All right. Now, if you have, two people earning income, okay, and say it's husband and wife, and husband's making $3,000 and the wife is making $4,000, and now you have $7,000 of income total, right? That would be your total household income here. So it's household income. Sorry, writing's really nasty right now. Okay. Now you would take this number and plug it in right here. Okay. And then your debts. So now let's go ahead and look at, what are some of the debts? And remember, these are all monthly numbers. Okay. Monthly. Everything is broken down into, the lender looks at your monthly income and they compare it to your monthly debt. It's not your annual debt. It's not your annual income. It's your they break it down into monthly chunks. Okay. So, so that you're going to plug this number in here, but what constitutes this number right here? The debt. So I'm going to erase this real quick. So now here's some of the things that they consider as debt. So like the current utility bills that you have, if you're renting an apartment, those don't count. What debt is going to be mainly car payments. PMT is going to abbreviate it for car payments. Then you have, if you have child alimony or child support, that's also considered a monthly debt. And then if you have student loans, that's another big one. And I'm going to cover something on student loans real quick. If you have a student loan and you're like, hey, the government, it's deferred, I'm not making any payment. Until that loan is completely off of your credit report, lenders will still consider it. Now you're like, well, I don't have a payment on it. Well, they'll consider a percentage of your total loan amount, and they're going to hit you with that payment. So I know we get a lot of clients that have student loans. So if you have a student loan, it's going to be included in your debt. And then you have credit card payments. So those are the basics that they're going to look into when they look at your monthly debts. Okay, so now let's go and figure out, run actually an example of a scenario here. So that didn't make any sense. Example of a scenario. Let's run a scenario real quick. Okay, so we already know that the debt that we have, we don't know the debt yet, but we know what the income is, right? So we figured out the income is going to be $7,000 gross. That's husband and wife. Okay, so let's now assume that your total debts, okay, for the month, you're very good at managing your debts. You have your car paid off. And you have a little bit of credit card bills and you don't have any student loans. So let's just say your monthly debt is $500, okay? Monthly. Now, we know your income is $7,000 a month, right? Because that's what the husband and wife were making. Now, the last thing we have to figure out here is what type of home you're going to buy, and then figure out the mortgage payment on that, right? Because that's going to be added onto your debt because your mortgage is also your monthly debt. So let's just take, for example, that the husband and wife live in the Sacramento area and they're looking to buy a 3-bedroom house for, let's just, for example purposes, for $400,000, okay? That is the purchase price. Okay? Now, let's say, we're going to go over this later on, but let's just say if it's an FHA loan and they're going, or just say it's a conventional loan for now, for example purposes, and they're going 5% down, okay? And they are, and the current rate is going to be, let's just say it's right now it's 5.99. Okay, so now let's go ahead and figure out what the payment's going to be and come back to this. Okay, so sorry about that. Here it is. Okay, so let's go and clear our calculator. So we already know what the purchase price was. It's 400,000. Okay, that's the price, and then we have a down payment of 5%. Okay, that's your down payment. And so this is going to already take the down payment out of there, and your loan amount is going to be 380. And remember, all payments are assessed on the loan amount, not on the purchase price. So purchase price, in our case, 400,000 minus 5% equals to 380. That's your loan amount. Now, the rate that we said we're going to be getting is 5.99. And don't quote me on this, depending on when you're watching this video. If you're watching it live, these are like kind of like the live rates right now. It could be higher or lower. So the interest rate is going to be 5.99. The term is going to be, which is amortized over 30 years. It's probably practically impossible for you guys to do this in your head. So I suggest using a mortgage calculator. This is one that I have on my iPad, but you can find a amortization schedule or a mortgage calculator. We will also send you guys examples of it in the chat, so you can copy and paste it. But anyways, so moving forward, so term is going to be 30 years, and then we're just going to hit payment now. And hold on one second, something happened. Payment, there it is. So your payment's going to be 2275.85. That's your principal and interest payment, right? So we're going to go back now to that screen that we were on. Okay, we're just going to use this one screen here. 1 second, where did it go? Okay, I guess we just lost the data. But anyways, so now you guys know the payment, mortgage payment is 2275. Okay, there's some cents there. Oh, here we are, back here. So purchase price was this, rate was this, and we already figured out the payment, right? So mortgage payment. This is just the PI. Remember, guys, it's not the full payment. I'm going to explain that to you in a second. So it's 2275. Okay. And then, so this is, since it's just P&I, principal and interest, we still have taxes. Okay. And here's how you figure out taxes. So if this is your purchase price that we're buying, taxes are usually going to be 1.25% of the purchase price of this. Okay. So this to 1.25 of purchase price. So let's go back to the calculator. Let's clear this. So if the purchase price is 400,000 and the taxes are going to be times 400,000 times 1.25% equals to $5,000. That's your annual tax. Now, guys, we're doing this on a monthly basis, right? So we're going to divide that by 12. So those are your monthly taxes, $416. So we're going to go back here. So now you have your P&I plus $416, which is your taxes. Okay. And then we're going to have another thing, which is house insurance, hazard insurance, fire insurance, which is required here in the state of California. So that usually you can estimate it, but on a purchase price of 400,000, you're looking at about $1,200 or $1,000 of hazard insurance. So let's just take 1,200. I like to always take the higher number. We're going to divide that by 12, and that is about $100 of insurance. So insurance, $100, okay? And then lastly, anytime you put less than 20% down on a home, you're always going to have something called mortgage insurance. So we're going to, let's just go to the other screen real quick and figure that out. Sorry guys, this is new to me, this iPad thing, but hopefully it's helping. So anytime you put less than 20% down, so less than 20% down equals to mortgage insurance. You're always going to have mortgage insurance. What mortgage insurance is a security blanket for the lender. When the lender sees that you're putting less than 20% down of skin in the game, they are going to, hit you with this insurance that you have to pay for on a monthly basis. Now, this doesn't stay on the life of the loan, but this is something you would pay if you put less than 20% down. So I'm not going to go into how to figure that out. That's something you want to have talked with your loan officer and run a one-on-one scenario if you like with us. But I'm going to go ahead and show you real quick. Just going to take an example here, right? So let's go back here. Okay, so let's just say that MI, we're going to abbreviate it as MI, is equal to, and let's just say today is $185. Okay, so now, since we have all this, I'm just going to clean this up a little bit so you guys can, I'm going to total the total payment right now. We're going to show you guys real quick. All right, so now let's do the math here. So 2275 plus 416, which is your taxes, plus the $100 of insurance. Okay, and then plus the last thing we had was $185 of MI. So your total payment would be $29.76 on this scenario. Okay, so that stands for PITI. And that is principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And in our case, we have MI as well, okay? So plus MI. So equal to, so now we're going to go out here. So it's $29.76. That would be your total payment if you bought a house for $400,000 and you put 5% down on a conventional loan, okay? Now, you guys, that's your principal, that's your total insurance. And then, so what would be your total debt? Remember, guys, we also had a debt of $500 earlier in this family. So that was $500. So your total monthly debt now would be $29.76. I have to use the calculator. $29.76. Oops. So $29.76 plus 500. Your total debt for the month is going to be $34.76. Okay, with your mortgage payment. Where did it go? Okay. So your total debt is $3,976. Okay. $3,976. Now your total income was $7,000. So let's figure out the DTI now. Debt to income ratio. Okay. So DTI is equal to, which is, your debt divided by your income. And your total debt was $3,976. So we'll take $3,976. Okay, and we're going to divide that number by your total income, which was $7,000. Okay, and equal to, so $3,976. So let's clear that. So $3,976 divided by, oops, I don't know what happened here. So $3,976 divided by $7,000. Okay, and you have a DTI of 57%. Okay, what that is telling us right there is that this person on this scenario is not going to qualify, and that is because their total monthly debt, which is $39.76, represents 57% of their income. So if their monthly, say, income they were making was $100 they were making every month, right? $57 of it, right? 57% is going towards debt, and that's no good. What the lender wants in most cases is anywhere from 45%. In some cases, they may go up to 49. Why do I say some cases? You have to run your personal scenario because the system has to spit back. But 45% will be a safe number here, and 49% is max. So let's just stay on the screen real quick, and let's just say that this person has no debt, okay? And we're going to take that 500 out of this 3,976, all right? So 3,976 minus 500, we're back to our mortgage amount of 3476. Now, if we take 3476 and we divide it by 7,000, now the DTI is 50%. So they're right on the cusp of qualifying. So we change this number to that number, and the DTI is going to be 50%. Now, 49% is what I said, but in some cases we might be able to take it to 50%, but you get the point here. I'm trying to show you these different scenarios so you can understand how lenders do it. Now, this person is just right on the cusp of qualifying for a $400,000 home if they're making $7,000. But if they have no debt, they're probably going to qualify for something around $380K. Might be $385, might be $390, but we have to run the numbers. But that's how you run the numbers to see if you qualify or not. You look at all of your debt, and then you put that away. Then you calculate your mortgage like I showed you by using a mortgage calculator. You put in the taxes in there, put in the insurance in there. And if you're doing less than 5% down, you put in the mortgage insurance. And that's kind of hard to calculate, but just take an average of $185 to $200 for mortgage insurance. You add that up. That's your monthly mortgage. That's your total debt now. And you divide it by the income, and that's your DTI number right here that lenders look at to qualify. So that's how you run your numbers to qualify. And I hope that I know it went all over the place here, but I'm live here. So we're going to talk about more of this, and I'm going to let you know how to get a hold of us at the end of the seminar. If you have more questions and you want to run your personal scenario. So let's move forward. So that was number 2, where we showed you how to do a quick estimate and figure out if you qualify for a home or not. Now there's lots of other tangibles that are there, like credit score, how much loan amount it is, what you're putting down. We didn't get into that. We just talked about one acronym of the whole equation, which was the DTI portion of it. And just to kind of give you an idea of how this works. All right. So now moving forward, we're going to talk about, I wish I knew how to just erase this automatically, but we'll just use this erase and go manual for now. That's what happens when you're kind of old school and you're not good at technology. Okay, cool. So let's just move forward now. All right. So now we're going to talk about the third is, what is the overall process and what parties are involved? What are closing costs, and what is, renting better? Is buying a home better? So let's get to it. So let's first talk about what are the different parties that are involved. Okay. So the main party that's in the middle of this whole transaction. Well, first we have you, the buyer. Okay. And it could be multiple of yous, like a husband and wife, but we're just going to say one person here for now. Buyer. And the buyer is looking to buy a house. Yeah, sure. Got it. So, sorry about that, guys. All right, cool. So, we have a buyer, and that's looking to buy a house. All right, and then you have this is the seller. Okay, and the seller has an agent that's put this house on sale. Agent. Okay. We'll call that seller agent. Okay. And then you have the buyer agent. That is your agent that's helping you look for homes. Okay. Buyer's agent. Okay. And this person here is helping you buy this house. Okay. And this person here is representing the seller. So this agent is going to talk to this agent. Okay. And they're going to put an offer for you. Then you have the lender, where you're getting the loan from, like us. Okay. And this person is, once everything closes, this lender is going to send money to your seller, and then you're going to be a happy buyer because you're going to buy the house. Okay. So you have a buyer right here. You have the buyer's agent. You have the seller's agent. You have the seller who's selling the property, and then you have the lender that's financing the transaction, sending money. Okay. Then in the middle of all of this, you have something called, or entity called, escrow company. Okay. Now this escrow company is a third party that makes sure that this agent right here is coming from a truthful standpoint. The seller is the actual seller of the property, and also ensures that you, the buyer, are also a legitimate buyer. There's no fraud going on. And then once you purchase the home from this seller right here, they make sure that the transfer of title, where you become now Mr. Joe and Mrs. Joe, become the new homeowners of this house, that the transfer of title is actually the full transfer of title over to you, and it's recorded correctly in the county. And that's what pretty much the escrow company does. And they make sure that the lender doesn't directly send money over to the seller. They send it to the escrow company. The escrow company does all the balancing and make sure all parties in this transaction is paid fully, and what they're supposed to be paid. So that is what in a nutshell, all the parties involved. Now, there's more things underneath the lender, like an appraiser and all these things. I'm not going to get into that today, because we're running out of time here. But that's what you have when it comes to the whole what parties are involved. Okay, so now moving forward, let's talk about some of the closing costs. Okay, so all right, so the closing costs that you have in a typical transaction, and let's just say we're going to stick to the $400,000 purchase price amount. You have escrow fees, which I just told you what escrow does. It's one of the most important third parties in there. You have to have an escrow. The transaction is not handled directly by the seller or the seller. There's an escrow is a company that handles it. And escrow fees are going to be, on a transaction like this, I'm just going to estimate something around $4,500. Okay. I'm not going to get into the breakdown of this, but let's just, for this session's sake, let's just say that's what it is. And these margin of error, 10 to 15% here. Okay, so then now we're going to move forward, and then you have the smaller fees. You have a lender, paperwork or admin fee. That's going to be around, let's just say $1,200. Okay, then you have taxes. Okay, county taxes. Okay, and then if you're taking an impound and escrow account, that means you want the taxes to be included in your mortgage. The lender will collect a couple of months from you, right? So we already know that $5,000 is a total tax on this situation here. They may collect if it's 3 months or 4 months, let's just say 5 months of taxes. So they might collect about $2,000 for taxes here. It might be a little higher than that, but let's just say 2,000 plus. Then you have your if you're depending on where you're buying it, each city may have like city transfer taxes, and those can be, the number really varies, but for this transaction's sake, let's just say it's $1,200, right? And then you have insurance. If you're I'm talking about the hazard insurance. If you're going to put it in your payment, the lender will collect a couple of months of that. So that could be around like $500, right? So let's go ahead and total. So if you just total all this up, and I'm just going to estimate it here because we're running out of time. So $2,400, 2,000, that's going to be $4,400. And then you have $4,500. That's what is that? 4,000, 4,000, 8. That's so 9,000 right there. And then, so let's just estimate it. Your closing costs are going to be somewhere around $11,000. I missed a few things, but that's what you're working with on about a $400,000 transaction. Now, it might be a little bit lower, it might be a little bit higher, and now depending on what programs you use, you might be able to get these closing costs covered. The seller may cover them for you, or you may have to come out of pocket. But those are closing costs to expect. Okay. Now, moving forward, we're going to talk about equity versus renting. Equity, what is equity, right? So when you buy a house with a loan on it, on that house you have a loan amount, okay? So say in our case, we bought the house for $400,000. We put 5% down, right, on this scenario. So $400,000 times 5%, and that's about $20,000. So your loan amount is $380. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the screen now. So your loan amount is $380, and we just bought the house, right? So your value currently of this house is $400,000. So I mean, mind you, you put your own money in there. So yeah, the $20,000 is yours. So right now you could just say, That's your money in there. It's still sitting in there. But right now you have 95% LTV. Okay. What that equals to is loan to value. Okay. Now, real estate, if you looked at it in a 50-year trajectory, for the most part, appreciates about, let's just take an average of 5% to 7% a year. I'm going to take the lower amount, so we're having aggressive numbers. So let's just say it appreciates 5% year over year. Okay. Now, so what's going to appreciate? The value, not the loan amount, right? So if it's appreciating 5% year over year, and you bought it for $400,000, and 1 year has already passed, and it's appreciated 5%. So times 5%, that's $20,000. So now after 1 year, your property now is worth $420,000. Okay. Now, since it's gonna have a compound effect, so I'm gonna have to go off of this amount, right? So now you say it also appreciates another 5%. Right? Or just go off the initial numbers, right? So let's go back to the screen. So it appreciated 5% year over year. Where we go? Okay, here. So it appreciated at 400,000. Now year one is $420,000, right? And year two, let's just say it stayed at that 5% rate. Year two, say it was worth $440,000. Now, depending on the market, it could go up a little bit or go down, but I'll give you averages, right? It's this. Say now year three, it's $460,000. If it's, so you get the point, right? So now year three, it's appreciated to, let's just say, $460,000. And your loan amount, you've paid it down as well. So now your loan amount, say, I'm just going to estimate it here. Say your loan amount now is $350,000. I am not going to pull out an amortization schedule. I'm just going to give you this as an example because we're running out of time. Say it's $350,000. And now if you take this amount and you divide this by $460,000, that's your loan to value, right? So you would take $450,000 divided by $350,000 divided by $460,000. So $350,000 divided by $460,000, and that equals a 76%. So that's pretty cool there. So when you bought the property, it was you had a 95% LTV, but in tangible numbers now, your loan amount's $350,000, and your purchase price, not your purchase price, your value currently, because you own the property, is $460,000. You have 50 plus 60, that's $10,000 of equity in your house that you can never build if you're renting a property. Right? Mind you, now, I'm not trying to create urgency here. If the numbers work for you, it's always a great time to buy because real estate on a long time horizon appreciates. So that's the power of growing wealth for yourself. Now, this is a discussion for another day that you can tap into this 76%. You can tap into this equity and you can pull some money out. You can't get 100% of it. You can talk to a loan officer, find out, but that can be used. You can get a home equity line of credit on your home to possibly start a business or invest in stocks or do other things, because home equity line of credit are now very low interest rates compared to if you were to get a personal loan. So there's a lot of things you can do when you build equity for yourself, which you really can't do when you're renting. So that is the beauty of building equity for yourself. Okay, so now let's keep moving forward. Sorry if I'm going a little too fast here. We were supposed to finish this webinar in 45 minutes, but we're about to reach that mark, and I want to get to the real stuff that a lot of people are waiting for. So I'm going to jump right in, and now we're going to start talking about the first-time buyer programs. Okay, so if you're a buyer in the market right now, and you're here in California, there are three main types of first-time buyer loans that are available to you that you can utilize. Now, there's probably 6, 7, 8. I'm going to tell you the ones that are very effective and are going to save you money, and they're going to close on time, and they're actually tangible things that are actually happening in the market and people are using them. Okay. So number one, you have the FHA loan. Okay. And this loan is a government sponsored loan. And you can put up to 3.5% down on this loan. The great part about this loan is that when the rates are high, even when the rates are a little bit lower, this loan product has very competitive rates. So I showed you earlier. Right now, today's conventional rates were around 6.5%, and FHA rates were around 5.75% today, right? So it has low rates. You can put minimum down, which is 3.5%. Okay, and it has it has PMI. Remember, we talked about this earlier. Anytime you put less than 20% down, you're going to have PMI, which is mortgage insurance, premium mortgage insurance. What that means is you're putting less money, so the lender wants you to pay insurance for it. And typically, all right, I ran this today. I think the PMI was, depending on what credit score you have, let's just go ahead and you go use the 200 amount, right? So, and then the other cool part about this, you know how I said the DTI is usually like max is 49% when I ran that number for you? Well, on FHA, it really depends on the DU findings, on the desktop underwriter findings, because it can go higher. I've even seen it go up to like 52%, in some cases even 53%. So what's the benefit of that? You know, you can qualify for more of a home. So that's the benefit, right? So big benefit, higher DTI, lower rates. The negative is you have the PMI here, okay, and then also you have something else called the upfront PMI, and I'm not going to dig too deep into that because I want to keep this general and so tangible to understand and where you can walk away with something. So upfront PMI is assessed on the loan amount of the FHA, and it's a one-time finance charge that gets financed into your loan. So, for example, if your loan amount is $380,000. Don't quote me on this. Maybe the PMI, the upfront PMI would be, it's usually 1.75% of the loan amount. So it'll be something around $5,000 to $6,000. So if instead of your loan amount being, your base loan amount being, $380,000, it's going to be a higher loan amount. So it'll make your payment go a tad bit higher. But on a 30-year trajectory, it doesn't make much of a difference, especially if you're getting a really, really low interest rate compared to a conventional loan out there. Okay, so that's your FHA program. And the next program I'm going to talk about is going to be the conventional program. And that is usually, it'll go down to 3%. But that's going to depend if you qualify for the 3%. Mostly people are going to qualify for the 5% because you have to see what county you're buying the home in. And this is why it's very important to talk to a loan officer so you can see if you qualify for the 3% conventional program, because it's going to depend on how much income you're making. And if your income is, your average gross income, AGI, is below, or if it's below the 80% average gross income of the area, if your income is below the 80% mark, then there are other programs under the conventional that you can qualify for. If it's not, then it's mainly going to be the 5% down. Now, why would you use this program? Well, if you have the 5% down, this is a great program because it does not have the upfront PMI like the FHA does. Does not have, okay, upfront PMI. And when the rates are good, right now the rates are not good. Sometimes the monthly MI can be lower than the monthly MI, than the PMI of the FHA program. Okay, that can also happen. And then sometimes the rates are good, right? But most of the time, the FHA is going to have lower rates. It's just the FHA has those financing fees that the conventional loan does not have. So you have to really pick and choose between these programs right now, especially in this interesting time when the rates are higher than they were like a year ago. So that's your conventional program. So you have one that allows you to go to 3.5% down. Well, that's the FHA, and then you have one that allows you to go 3% and 5%. Now we're going to talk about the CalHFA, which is an exciting program to talk about, is because it allows you to go with 0% down. That's right. CalHFA will allow, it's a California state sponsored program. And under there, you can either do the FHA or the conventional. Don't get too confused here. Don't worry about that right now. What it really does is it allows you to see it gives you, so the state gives you money. So they'll give you either 3% if you went conventional. If you qualified for that conventional, like I mentioned, you have to qualify for it depending on your depending on that average gross income in the county you're looking to buy in, right? Each county is going to have different incomes. That's why it's important to talk to a loan officer on that, particularly if you want to get granular like that. And then the FHA, they'll give you the 3.5% down. So the state's giving you that. Now, it's not free money, but it's you don't have to pay them back, but you don't have to pay anything back to them until you sell the property or you refinance the property. If you don't sell the property, okay, you don't pay this off until your whole loan comes like due and you've paid it all down. So if it's a 30-year mortgage, you won't pay this 3.5% until that 30-year is up, okay? And then another cool part about this, they also give you 2% down for closing costs. So remember how I went over that closing cost that was about $10,000 to $11,000? Well, you can use some of this money for the closing costs. So 2% down for closing costs. Okay? That's also there. So big plus of this is they give you 3%, 3.5% down here or 3% on the conventional, and they also give you 2% down for closing costs. Okay? Now I'm just going to take a quick minute to explain like how like the loan structure would work on the house, because now you have your main loan. Say for example is with our scenario, if you use the 3.5% down, say your main loan, you're buying the house for say $400,000, right? The state gave you 3.5% down. All right, that's $14K. So we're gonna divide. What's that? That's I'm really bad at math, man, because I use this calculator all day. So it's that's $386,000, right? So your loan amount, and guys, if you're super smart here and you're thinking, well, you're not adding the PMI in there. Well, I'm not. I'm just taking this for giving you guys an example. So you can add the PMI later. I'm just explaining this to you to explain how the payoff back to the state would work. So this is a $386,000 loan amount. This would be your first loan amount that's recorded in the county under your name. That would be your first loan on the house, okay? The second lien or loan would be the down payment that they gave you, which was $14,000, okay? Now this loan, the second loan, accrues, let me just make sure I have the number right, 1% interest on the life of the loan, okay? Now, let's figure out how that works. It's not a lot, okay? So it's $14,000. It's simple interest, so $14,000, okay? And we're going to times that by 1%. Oops, $14,000. Sorry, guys, my hands are going too fast. Times 1%, that equals $140 a year, okay? And you times that by 30. So on the life of the loan, it would accrue $4,200. And if their state's just giving you money to take, I mean, that's not a lot of money. That's just the cost of taking it, right? Like $4,200 is like, you know, that was like 1 month's pay for one of the borrowers, right? So that's what would accrue on top of the 14. And if you kept the home for the 30 years, you would pay the state back $14,000 plus the $4,200 for that second loan. Now the third loan, okay, which is the state giving you that down payment, right? Which was, I believe it was 2%, right? So if the purchase price is $400,000, sorry, not the purchase price, it'll be on the loan amount. So 386 was the loan amount times the 2%, and that's about $7,000. So let's just take this for example, $7,700 right here. Don't quote me on it. There's a couple of dollars I didn't add in here, but that will be your third loan. That accrues no interest whatsoever. Okay? That's the really cool thing about this program. So this one, you'll accrue, the second one, you accrue a little bit. The third one, not so much, right? So the plan is to keep this property for a long time. So the trajectory, like I showed you, equity versus rent, you make equity for yourself. And by the time 30 years will roll around, or if you even say you refied after 7-8 years and you got to pay the state back, you should be able to pay these amounts back from your equity, all right, and still have a positive cash flow in your wallet. So these programs work really well, but you have to qualify for them. I'm not going to go over all of the requirements for this program, you do need a minimum of 680 credit score. In some cases, you might be able to get away with 660. But if you have a credit score requirement, okay, 660 may work, okay? But if you have a 700 credit score, 700 or plus, you'll be qualified higher for the DTI. So the DTI requirements are better, means like it'll go up to 50 if you have a 700 plus credit score. We just went over DTI, so you can rewind the video and refresh your memory again what DTI is. But so making long story short, the better your credit score, the better the terms are going to be on this loan. And if your scores are below 660, you won't qualify for the score. So very important to run these numbers to see if you will qualify for CalHFA. But these programs are putting a lot of people in homes if this program works in your county and if it works for you. And we would love to help you on that. And if you go to the description of this video, you'll see there is a link there to have a one-on-one call with me, with our team. Just click that link and pick the time that works. It's a 15-minute call, completely no obligations, completely free. If you like this session and you want to go one-on-one, we'd love to help you. Also, we're gonna text if it's already not text on the side here to our link to our calendar. Okay, so that is what I have today for the programs, right? And like I mentioned, I didn't go too deep on how to qualify for it because we're literally running out of time. So the last thing, which is I believe even more important than everything that I talked about here, because it's mainly mindset and like where to go from here, and how to implement all this, because you can work with a loan officer to run all these numbers, but it's good to have a basic understanding, and that's what we kind of already went over, okay? So now, the last thing what I was going to talk about was going to be the 4-step effective process of house hunting, how to go about buying to get results and reduce stress. So the number one, which goes back to the start of the video, is working with a trusted advisor, okay? And in this case, like we looked at the different parties involved, it's going to be your loan officer or your buyer's agent that's helping you find the property. So now when I say trusted, what I mean by that is find somebody that you absolutely trust. Because I've been in this market for 10 years. I worked with different types of clients, and I love all my clients. They teach me so much. But trust is the most important thing in any relationship, right? And if you feel like you don't like the way they dress or the communication style is no good, may that be your loan officer or something that you just dislike about them, and there's a feeling that you get that you're not really liking them, fire them immediately. Because what's going to happen is if they're giving you advice, you're not going to listen to it. And does it really go well if the doctor prescribes you medicine and you don't trust the doctor and you're like, I'm not going to take that medicine. I'm just going to go ahead and go about my day. What happens, right? So it's very, very important that you work with a trusted advisor, and sometimes it's really good to find some referrals that from maybe friends, family, coworkers that have worked with somebody in the past that they felt was wonderful. Go with that first, and if that doesn't work out, the power of the internet right now. There's so many reviews. Look up their reviews on Zillow. Look up their reviews on Yelp. Look up their reviews on Google+, and then work with them. But you definitely want to start off by working with someone that you absolutely trust. It's crucial to the whole process. Number two, we have a second thing here, which is when you get into the buying process and you start working with an agent, and you say you love the property that you're going to buy, you've actually found somebody with your agent, found a house with your agent that you're going to want to make an offer on. You want to know the comps, okay? And what are comps? Comps is an abbreviation that stands for comparables, okay? So it's an apples to apples comparables of homes in a close proximity of homes so for example, say you're looking to buy a house in the Sacramento area. You're looking to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house in the suburban area of Elk Grove. Now, just in that close neighborhood where you're looking for the house, your agent is going to have access. When I say agent, I'm talking about your buyer's agent that's helping you find the house. It's going to have access to the MLS, and they can go in there and do a search of, say, 0.25 miles or even a smaller radius to see what homes sold in the last like 4 months, 6 months that were very close or identical to the home that you're looking to buy. Because 99% of the time, the selling party is expecting to sell at that price. Okay, especially in today's market where there's a huge supply and demand issue. And I'm going to touch upon the market real quick here. We were in a sort of a buyer's market when the rates went up, but now again, we're in a seller's market. Why? Because the interest rates are a little higher than where they were before, and sellers are holding onto their properties because they're like, well, we're at a 2% interest rate. I don't want to go get a 6% rate. I'm just going to live here. So that's causing less inventory to be on the market. And then you have still a healthy demand because buying and real estate is still in fashion in this capitalistic society of America. Everybody wants to buy a house. And especially when the rents are high, buying makes sense, right? So there's a huge supply and demand issue. So we're again back into the seller's market. And in this market, it's always going to be very imperative that you know the comps. Because then what happens is when you're working with your trusted advisor and the trusted advisor tells you, well, this is what we need to make an offer on. You're like, why are we doing that? And they tell you, well, because the comps are this. And you're like, well, I don't want to do that. Well, if you don't do that, you're most likely going to not get your offer accepted and it's going to be a lot of headaches. So it's very important to know the comparables and to know what the house is selling for and what it's going to sell for, because the comparables are going to speak the truth because the market always dictates pricing. Unless you're in a really downturn market, that's when, it's a buyer's market. But right now the market's going to dictate pricing. So you need to know what the comparables are. Okay. Then number 3, once you know those comparables and you ran, and say you're putting an offer on this 400,000 house that we just ran a scenario on, and your buyer's agent tells you that, hey, it's going to go for 430. This is what's going to sell for. You're like, man, I don't know if I can go for that, right? Because you had a $400,000 purchase price in your mind. Well, run multiple scenarios with your loan officer right after that. Find out, well, what is my payment going to be at 430 compared to 400? What is it going to be at 450 compared to 400? Because I'll let you know that in most cases, payment won't jump that much for $30K. It will, because you're looking at a 30-year loan. Now, if you're looking at a 15-year loan, it's different. It's a conversation for a different day. But if we're talking about a loan that amortizes on a 30-year period, your payment is not going to change by that much, right? So you want to run it. And just for some of you, it might be a hole in the wallet. Then don't go with it. But number 3 point is very important because you want to run multiple scenarios, because now you may love this home, but in your mind you're thinking, oh, it's 430 instead of 400, but you haven't ran the numbers with your loan officer to know, well, how much does the payment really go up by? And it might not go up by that much. And if you absolutely love this home, you might be missing on the deal. So number 3 point is very important that you know exactly what the different scenarios are and you know how it feels on your pocket. Now, moving forward, that was number 3. So you really definitely want to run the different scenarios. Now, the last point that I have here is going to be logic versus emotion. And this last point is very in line with the third point of running your multiple numbers with your loan officer, because now you're not just going off of emotion of just thinking in your mind, oh man, that's so much more in your mind. You actually running with logic because you ran the number multiple times and you're well informed, right? So why I say logic versus emotion is because now that you know your numbers, you know your comps, and you're working with a trusted advisor, the energy is completely different. And that's what it's all about, because now that you have full trust in the process, you have full trust in your trusted advisors, and you know your numbers, you're going to put that contract in there with full zeal, and you're going to have a positive mindset, which definitely increases your chances of getting your offer accepted. Not only that, it just gives you the process is fun because now you know your numbers. So that's all I have for today, guys. I know I yapped a lot. You can watch. I hope this is recorded. We had some technical issues. I hope this is recorded properly, and we'll have this up for you guys on our YouTube channel. And if you're a client of ours and you had logged in to listen and tune into our webinar, we'll send you guys an email with this full session. Now, I'm going to say this again. Thank you so much for trusting in us. Thank you so much for taking this time out of your precious day to learn about home buying and the whole process. I'm going to go ahead and we've already posted a link in the text message that tells you that you can click on and get a one-on-one with me and my team so we can run your personal scenario. And also you can go in the description of this video to get that link. That's all for today. I hope this video was insightful and helpful to you. Until next time, this is Karan Singh.